Men are quietly packing their bags, and they absolutely aren't looking back. I was randomly scrolling the other day and stumbled on this PC Gamer article talking about the massive booming explosion of dating simulators in Asia, and it honestly just clicked for me. I mean, I have been known to dabble in a dating simulator or two myself. We're watching a massive demographic shift in real time, backed up by actual data. From GameSpot reporting that over half of gamers now prefer single-player games, to the studies highlighting a very real male loneliness epidemic. Guys are exhausted. They're dropping these live service juggernauts like a bad habit, telling games like Fortnite that they don't want to play with them anymore like they're straight out of Toy Story. They're seeking out alternative experiences that actually fulfill them. And look, if you're also tired of modern gaming treating you like a walking wallet while actively lecturing you, do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button so we can keep calling this nonsense out. And honestly, what brought this all on was I actually did a poll on my channel recently just to test the waters. I asked you guys what you were playing right now. Multiplayer games, single player games, and I threw in a little gag third option for those gooner dating simulators. And out of 300 votes, the overwhelming majority chose single player experiences, games with actual stories and characters that stick with you. But the craziest part, the dating sims actually beat out the multiplayer games. Now sure, my channel isn't the ultimate census for the entire global gaming population, but it definitely reflects a growing sentiment. Men are checking out of the sweaty, toxic battle pass grinding multiplayer scene. They don't want a second job. They want to play games that encapsulate the kind of men they want to be and feature the kind of women they actually want to be with. And this ties directly into a much larger, frankly depressing real-world issue. Western society is currently speedrunning the exact same social decline we've been seeing in Japan and other Asian territories for years now. You look at the data on increasing male employment instability being directly linked to falling marriage and fertility rates, and it paints a pretty bleak picture. Men are feeling less and less fulfilled in their day-to-day lives. The world is incredibly isolating right now, so naturally they turn to video games for escapism. They want a power fantasy. They want to step into the shoes of Kratos in God of War and feel like a capable, unstoppable father figure protecting his kid. Or they want to boot up one of those FMV dating games where they can just experience some virtual affection without having to navigate a modern dating scene that feels like stepping on rakes for a living. But instead of the AAA gaming industry recognizing this and providing that escapism, they've decided to turn the very concept of male fantasy into a massive moral panic, and the hypocrisy here is absolutely blinding. Let's talk about the dreaded male gaze. When Stellar Blade came out, the internet practically melted down. I remember reading this incredibly pearl-clutching article from Inverse complaining about how Eve was designed to cater to men, sparking this massive culture war about Sweet Baby Inc. and character designs. But where was all of this outrage when Capcom dropped the news that Resident Evil Requiem had intentionally turned Leon Kennedy into a grizzled silver fox hot uncle? And I'll tell you where the outrage was. Nowhere, because women and male gamers alike loved it. And honestly, it was damn good design. Nobody complained that Leon was too handsome. Nobody writes 10-page essays when fighting games like Tekken or Street Fighter drop a roster full of shirtless washboard ab beefcakes who are 6'4" and built like Greek gods. Male characters are almost always presented idealistically. Tall, rich, strong, capable, and guys just accept it because it's cool. But the second a developer makes a beautiful female character that appeals to them, the media treats it like a war crime. There's this weird, massive disconnect where men are relentlessly ridiculed for liking attractive fictional characters because, well, they aren't real. I used to work in retail, dude. I've seen the absolute feral behavior of women fighting over K-pop albums. They salivate over these meticulously groomed, idealized idols that they will literally never meet in their entire lives. And you know what? That's totally fine. Let them have their fun. But we need to work on affording men that same privilege. But look at the gaming market. Nico Partners just dropped a report showing that women-oriented gaming in Asia is absolutely exploding. There's a 3D dating game called Love and Deepspace that generated $82 million in December 2025 alone. $82 million in a single month. And the media covers it as this empowering, flourishing, progressive market. So the point here isn't to say women are hypocrites or to attack female gamers. The point is that fantasy aimed at women is treated as a brilliant business strategy, while fantasy aimed at men is treated as a moral failing that needs to be corrected. And we know exactly where this shift started. You can trace a lot of this back to Anita Sarkeesian, who essentially monetized an entire crusade about how females were portrayed in video games. And look, I can honestly say that some of her early points were somewhat agreeable. Somewhat. Back in the day, the industry definitely had some growing up to do when it came to writing compelling female characters. But over time, that critique completely morphed. It became unrecognizable. It devolved into this toxic mindset of, if men like it, it's inherently bad, or if this caters to a male audience, it's inherently sexist. She literally had that famous quote, everything is sexist, everything is racist, and you have to point it all out. That tells you exactly what kind of exhausting lens she views the world through. The problem is that major gaming directors actually bought into this hook, line, and sinker. You look at guys like Neil Druckmann, who actively started incorporating these exact ideals into their flagship games. And again, wanting empowered female representation isn't a bad thing. I love Tomb Raider. As a matter of fact, the 2013 Tomb Raider reboot, Lara Croft, is one of my favorite characters of all time. Watching Lara Croft grow from a terrified survivor into a hardened explorer is an awesome character arc. But modern AAA games have completely lost the balance. They aren't just trying to make strong women anymore. They're actively shooting themselves in the foot just to spite their male audience. We're literally watching developers take incredibly beautiful real-life face models and intentionally nerf their attractiveness in the game engine just to oppose the male's gaze. They alter their jawlines, remove their makeup, give them weird haircuts, and make them look tired and miserable. Why? And who is this for exactly? Like the developers are looking down their noses at their own paying customers, slapping them on the wrist and saying, no, you aren't allowed to find this character pretty, eat your vegetables. And gamers are just tired of it. When you combine the exhausting predatory grind of live service multiplayer games with a AAA industry that actively resents its core demographic, is it any wonder that men are just checking out? They're walking away from the $200 million slop that lectures them. They're retreating to games that actually respect them. It's why single player games are dominating the conversation right now. When you boot up an RPG or a narrative driven action game, you aren't being nickel and dimed for a battle pass, and you aren't being told that your desire for a cool, attractive protagonist makes you a bad person. You just get to exist in a world that was built to entertain you. And honestly, it's why those FMV dating simulators are taking off the way they are. The PC Gamer article noted that a lot of these games are inspired by those viral micro dramas on TikTok. They're cheesy, they're melodramatic, and they are completely unapologetic about what they are. They offer a simple, uncomplicated fantasy where the player themselves is valued, desired, and gets to be the hero of his own little story. The mainstream gaming industry has become so obsessed with appealing to modern consultants and passing some arbitrary purity test that they forgot they are in the entertainment business. They're watching their stock prices plummet and their live service games shut down in 14 days, all while indie developers and Asian studios are printing money simply by giving gamers what they actually want. If Western publishers want to stop the bleeding, they need to drop the ego. Stop treating your male audience like a problem that needs to be solved. Let guys have their power fantasies, let them have their beautiful characters, and let them just enjoy a video game without a side of moral grandstanding. Because if you don't, they're just gonna keep packing their bags and spending their money elsewhere. And honestly, I don't blame them at all. Hell dude, I'm one of them. Anyway, all this talk about dating simulators makes me want to go boot up my PC and enjoy some time with my favorite waifus. This is RageWatch, and I'm out. Thanks for watching.